so much, David. I'm really touched. Get into second. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed this conference as much as I have. I mean, you haven't seen very much of me. I've been a little bit under the weather or something. You probably noticed. In fact, I just want to deny emphatically now that I spent today in bed sucking a fisherman's friend. But that's not me. Well, here we are again, a year later. The creases have nearly fallen out of our Vespa souvenir ties. Haven't we arrived, eh? The Metropole Hotel, eh? Fantastic. It's like being inside a wedding cake, isn't it? In fact, our reputation is preceding us. I was coming in and I noticed that the local cinema is showing a film about a glamorous-looking bloke called Nick. And the film's called Wind Talkers. And if the computer wakes up, there you go. Got the surname wrong, but the film's out this week, and it just strikes me as not apposite for our time here. Let's face it, wind energy is a bit of a war zone. The cell phone gag has been done now, as is customary by the chairman, who always steals anything I indicate that I might say. But I would like to point out that David Leasley, who's well, he knew was in the speech, who's left for Madrid, his cell phone ring actually doesn't qualify for the £10 fine because, of course, it was his vibrator that went off. Yeah, it's that time of the year when the wind industry falls into two camps. It's those who are looking forward to the dinner and those who are absolutely bricking the next 22 minutes. But I want to emphasise now, early on, this is a genuinely affectionate look at the year. And the people who've enriched my life, one way or another. Sadly, not everybody can be with us. Jonathan Johns. Didn't expect to get a laugh just with his name. And again, neither does he. He was hoping to be one of the sponsors for this year's conference, but he couldn't persuade us to lay on any Greco-Roman wrestling. Colin Moynihan. Now, he hoped to be with us, but he called me last week to let me know that in the light of recent events, he was being recalled. I tried to reassure him that he probably was too old for active service, or too short. But it's a real pity for me because it was pointed out to me after his performance last year just how much he looked like another celebrity. He's not the only lookalike here tonight. Anybody want to guess? You got off really light. And just a good measure, as he's not here either, this is Godfrey Bevan, who spoke to us all last year. And, it strikes me as a remarkable similarity to a very youthful Bruce Forsyth. Now, over recent years, there's been a bit of a tradition that for conference gifts being turned into weapons at the dinner. Who can forget the enormous erections made out of cardboard turbines last year? Or Eastern Generation's pen holders? Well, to be blunt, one or two delegates did express some reservations about this year's corporate sponsor. And they have assured me that absolutely nothing that British Energy are involved with can possibly have a military use. Mind you, I did wonder when they asked if they might put a little something in all the delegate bags. And I've frankly been a bit upset to notice that one or two people have been trying to scratch a logo off the delegate bag, particularly because it was the BWEA logo. So, let's look back at the year. Probably the highlight of the year for me was that you elected a board. There you go. I didn't get that, did it? So as much you know. Obviously not everybody was in the original photograph, and I've had to add the other two down the bottom. I've realised since that that's actually factually incorrect. If you look at Marcus Trinick, he appears to be in the pocket of Shell. Where, of course, if this was a photo-realistic, he would be in the pocket of Scottish Power and you wouldn't be able to see him. There's absolutely nothing I can say about Peter Hinton, honestly. This picture is known as the Camp David picture. And that's a perfect point for me to look at the chairman in just a little bit more detail. Don't mess with it. David still is a real man of mystery. For example, we were in Amsterdam earlier in the year, shortly after the birth of my son, and to this day, I've never found out exactly why, in Amsterdam of all places, David knew exactly where to find a baby clothes store. Of all the cities in all the world. David is, as you know, he's from Hexham, and he's a very keen runner. For some years now, he's taken part in the Great North Run, which presumably is to the south. But here's a very rare bit of video of the man described as the grandfather of offshore wind, which particularly alarmingly makes him Peter Musgrove's father. What appears to be David still in training. That's not David still, I guess. It's remarkable likeness, isn't it? Quite ridiculous. Who on earth would think of associating an energy project with a daft word beginning with J? No, all joking aside. David does hold the respect of his peers, and the industry owes him a great debt of honour. Why, it was only the other day when he called me and said, I'm in Richmond, and I immediately thought, how is Bill? I haven't spoken to anybody from TXT for years. That touched you particularly, didn't it? There we go. The jealousy coming out there, I think. Still, what a year, eh? Even Rez got planning permission. It's a year in which the Prime Minister mentioned renewables twice and demonstrated his commitment by giving us no less than 3 ministers to play with. And of course it was the year in which the renewables obligation continues to show signs of being just around the corner. Recognise these guys? That was our previous speaker. That's me in the middle. And that's Prince Charles. We're moving in illustrious circles. What you possibly can't make out on the right is Peter Billings of British Biogen. A man who's lobbying for a banded obligation means that single-handedly he probably deserves our greatest support for a massive boost for offshore wind. There's the man in person. Now, looking back, of course, offshore dominated the year, and its birth and the announcement of the first 18 sites weren't without their thrills and spills. You know, I can't... You know, it's really easy, you see. So you've just got to figure out which of your neighbours is excruciatingly embarrassed by that picture. Now, I can't name names, obviously, but one company was so keen to get on with building that they were almost sent to Coventry by the rest of the industry, until somebody pointed out that they were already there. Now, to be fair, Powergen did give the industry an enormous head start with their seminal environmental statement, which was immediately bought by every other developer, who changed the names of a few birds and was then submitted for them. The study also demonstrated Powergen's full grasp of the technical issues. Now, this is a page from the glossary in Volume 2 of the Environmental Statement for Scroby Sands. You probably can't see it in some detail, but if you look at this, these are the acronyms, and it demonstrates their full grasp of the complex issues. Interestingly, with some uncertainty about some of these particular words. If we just look down the list here, PPG, Planning Policy Guidance, question mark. TWA, 2 question marks. And VHF, very high frequency. Offshore has brought a new set of skills to the industry, and it's been really difficult for one or two people to cope with it. I'm not exactly sure what Nigel Crow's doing in this picture, but from the look of David Bean's face in this next image, I think that Nigel might need a change of wetsuits. We might think we've got our work cut out here in the UK, but just take a look at this flow diagram from the Irish government's consenting route. Oh dearie me. Now, this one is quite complex. Basically, it says procedures and target timescales for yada 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 yada. It goes through all this bit here, right way down the bottom. Okay, terms accepted and lease signed and sealed. Okay, very simple. So we show the detail of this one. Public consultation period. Okay, if there are objections, refer to applicant response. It goes through this process here, 4 weeks, consideration, 8 weeks here, submission to minister, decision. If there aren't any objections, it stops dead. Now, I was able to share this lightweight reading with the man responsible for this, and you've never heard the phrase, "oh shit," said with more passion. Actually, I was just thinking about this, actually, I just realised it. Public consultation, no objections, it doesn't get built. It's a bit like that. Just like Wales. What else happened? Vestas announced their Scottish factory again. Vestas, presumably. And it was amid rumours of them taking over the Swan Hunter shipyard to save money on a new corporate logo. Recognise this? Expo 2000, Hanover. This is a view of the Dutch pavilion, the single most visited one there. As you can see, they've got this little turbine for the top, enormously popular. In the background, we can see large German turbines. In fact, from most observation points of Expo, you can see literally dozens of turbines in the German landscape. Now, that's, of course, the Dutch, and that's the Germans. What about the British? Yes, we were there. This is a real picture. Okay. This guy is actually calling security because he wanted to know why I was taking pictures. Makes you proud to be British, doesn't it? If you can't laugh at yourself, don't worry, there's 300,000 German visitors. What else happened? Vortec came and went shortly afterwards. Quote of the year was from Declan Pritchard. Owning a wind turbine is better than sex. So keen was Declan to get his fix at the conference this year. He registered on the 5th of June. He was the first to pay, and he even paid his sub in December last year. I'm very impressed. But you really do need to get out a bit more, mate. Plenty of people have moved company. It's been a very good year for the headhunters. Steve Cowie left Scottish Power shortly after he realised that I'd started showing pictures of members at the dinner. Not that it's going to stop me. And guess what? It's another lookalike. Right, well, look, if you think that's not fair, suggesting that Steve Cowie looks like Davros, creator of the Daleks and the embodiment of evil, I promise you, it could have been worse. David Williams of Carrick spent most of the year complaining that we weren't replying to his emails until he found out he was sending them to somebody else altogether. It's been such a great year for good news that on certain days there was actually competition for coverage. Perhaps most notable was when Scottish Power announced plans for the biggest wind farm in the solar system, just as NWP were about to unveil Juice. Now, not wanting to be caught up again, National Wind Power went on the aggressive, and on hearing that I was going to be turning 40 on August the 20th, rushed out a news release that they were celebrating their 10th birthday the day before. Now, I said earlier that some of the older faces from the industry weren't here tonight, yet we have our biggest ever dinner. I guess that means that some new people are coming into the industry, but we shouldn't forget our roots. And some of the people who got us where we are today. Ian Mays, for example, past chairman of BWEA, past president of BWEA and managing director of RES. But where is he now? You know, wants to be seen everywhere, he's now so busy. You'd probably be forgiven for thinking that he'd left the industry altogether. So there's absolutely no possibility whatsoever that this is him, moonlighting at QuickFit in Norwich. In case you've forgotten what Ian looks like. This one's especially for Res, because I know how they feel left out of wind nowadays. Oh, come on, don't cry, it's only coming. The real substance of this conference, though, is the darts match, of course. And the 23rd annual darts tournament last night, flashing graphics, was won by the Fugro Sequel team of Peter, Phil, Tony, and Les. And I'd like to invite, to present the trophy to Peter Clutterbuck, last year's winner, a company then called Bears Down, but now they've migrated to National Wind Power. So, Alan, if you'd like to give this to Peter, I'm sure we can give you a warm hand on your entrance. Smile for the photographers. Well done. Incredible achievements of sportsmanship in a sea of alcohol. This is the Developer Award. This is the highlight of the year. It's the second year of this award, and it's given to recognise the developer held in the greatest respect by their peers in the industry. All corporate members of the association are entitled to vote, and this year it was an extremely close competition. But just to remind you who those finalists were, here are the nominees. David Farron from Power Generation. You can clap that, can't you, Dave? Continue using natural voice as well. From Scottish Power, Alan Moody Waterman. Now, I couldn't find a picture of Jeremy Sanctuary. So I did a Google search trying to match it on clothing, and that's the best it came up with. Actually, interestingly, all of the votes for Jeremy Sanctuary specified as long as he doesn't give a speech. Interestingly enough, including the one from Jeremy himself. The fourth finalist. The chairman and winner of last year's award, David Still. Okay. So, who's won? Well, I'm going to ask the chairman and last year's winner, David Still, to present the award, so we know it's not him. But first of all, I'd like to invite David Williams of Cambrian Engineering to introduce a trophy, which is going to be presented to the winner this year. David, are you? Yes, you're in the room, and you're going to make 1.5 minutes last 15 by trying to find your trophy, yeah? No? Okay. Okay. It's very close. My what? If anybody wants a comfort break, now's a very good time. I'll call me old-fashioned, I'm trying to see what goes in a can. Right, well. Can I just... by all means, mate, I mean, go on, take yourself. So you're not going to read one of your letters to Roger Morgan, are you?
How's this? That's about right. New members to Rotary are inducted. And I recall being at a Rotary induction ceremony when the president was emphasizing the privilege that he felt at being the leader of such a the words he was searching for, of course, were high caliber, but all he could manage to bring to mind at the time were president of such a well-endowed group of men. You can imagine no one took issue with this at the time, but also, as you'd expect from Rotarians, there wasn't a murmur from anybody to embarrass the president in his moment of difficulty. What he was trying to say, of course, was that it was a question of acknowledgement of achievement by your peers is really the greatest accolade. But before I leave that wonderful incident, the only sign that anyone had actually noticed the innuendo in what he'd said was a very slight smile on the face of the new member who was being inducted at the time, and obviously must have wondered what was coming next. But more crucially, the new member happened to be the first lady member ever to be inducted into the Rotary Club. But his sentiment was correct, and although the words were somewhat ambiguous, he was saying that acknowledgement by one's peers is the greatest accolade, and that's what this award is about, the Developer Award. And of course, without developers, we would have no industry. Would you like to start? You already have, Nick.
Sorry, I was going to pass out otherwise. I wasn't going to...
Cambrian is an example of a private, standalone business which has been encouraged and supported by the developers in particular, but also by just about everyone in this room one way or another as part of the BWEA family. So, nurtured by you, we've become a truly British homegrown tower manufacturer. And so I think it's very appropriate that on behalf of you all we should sponsor this trophy. Now, Anne Catherine, as she's known, who is sister to our operations manager Robin Evans, and a three-dimensional design graduate from the University of Brighton, as it happens, and you see some of her work on the waterfront as you jog up and down in the morning. She's a blacksmith and a sculptor, and she's in great demand on both sides of the Atlantic, taking commissions and giving lectures. A very talented lady. Her terms of reference from me were to create a unique and spectacular tower embodying star quality, and with engraving spaces from 2001 up to 2010, so we can, 10 years time, if I'm still about, we can see what's happened over those 10 years. She's done a great job, I think. She's cast it from bronze, and I do hope you like it. So if Nick can reveal all, and then we'll hand over to David for the final presentation.
I just wanted to thank Dennis Norden for turning up tonight. Those shows usually last about an hour as well, don't they? Okay. I'm going to ask, oh dear, no more wine. I'm going to invite the chairman now to insert the Cambrian Tower into the Alps new history. The developer, 2001. Do you want to say a few words?
Just a few. Well, what can I say really? This is obviously star quality, and it must reflect the calibre of my team, and also the calibre of the companies, etc., that we've been associated with this year to enable me to receive this award. So, all I can say is thank you very much, and whoever voted for me, great stuff. Maybe there's a bit of proportional representation involved from the chair. Thank you.
You know, some moments like this, I'm really glad Jonathan Johns isn't here for later on. I should be going of that. Okay. You need to ask if you haven't done that one. Well, that's about it. That's almost the end of another year, and of course Peter Musgrove's annual dread of his Christmas bonus. He's no more room in his garage for another one, apparently. But let's have a quick look forward to next year. Hopefully this time next year we'll be out of Spring Street in our new offices. There'll be a staff of 6, hopefully, and we'll be set for an even bigger year of actual real-world construction in the UK. And of course continuing our good relationships with the many stakeholder groups that are important to us all. It's also quite possible that we'll see the formation of several more renewable energy associations. already expected are the Renewable Lawyers Association. That's because they're probably the only people who can afford their fees, which unusually will be charged by the hour. There's the Energy from Wind Association. That'll be for companies who put Britain right at the front of griping about their lot. And finally, the Non-Threatening Renewables Association, with the slogan, "We promise not to become viable and upset anybody." But there's actually something very serious ahead. Many people have pointed out to me that ETSU aren't here this year. In fact, some people who we thought were ETSU have spent 2 days denying that they're from ETSU. So, what exactly does this mean? Well, obviously I have no way of knowing this, but I'd be wondering if they were wondering whether their contract might not be renewed. And, you know, if it wasn't, would the wind industry notice? Or care? But it seems that ETSU are planning on diversifying. I think they're looking to new markets. I think they're looking to move into oil and gas in a big way. And in a fairly crude attempt to get closer to Shell, they've opened a new office in Waterloo. But they're no fools, just in case people come from the Vauxhall Bridge end. They've opened another office. But sincerely, it does remain a privilege to serve you. We're lucky. We do have excellent people working at BWA to help you in what you do. And I just want to say thank you to Teresa, Alison, Steve, and now Gail. I'm not going to embarrass them with flowers and stuff like that. I'm going to do what everybody wants their boss to do and say, "Go on, take Friday off, it's all we're here for." So, come in on Saturday. But ultimately, the reason all of this works, the reason we have this gathering here, the reason we have the success in wind energy is really because we are an association. And a single unified voice really does count. It really does open doors. It's the credibility on which we're able to take the wind agenda forward. And that's particularly important when it comes to our dealings with government, and especially important in our dealings with the DTI. And I'm confident those good relations will continue over the coming years, if for no other reason, just because from time to time we get pictures like this. Which of course isn't true. That'll be for now. All right, Gary? There you go. Just want to say thank you very much. The bar is open now until 1 o'clock. We do listen to your comments every year. I genuinely love this job. I hope to be doing it for at least another year, boss. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I'm off now to stress the housekeeping staff. There are that many lemsits in my room now. Housekeeping said they're not going because of the man with all the white powder. So, thank you very much indeed, and good night to you all.